Okay, so in this video, you're going to be learning exactly why you're struggling to do outreach and how my three-step outreach process can help you start those conversations on LinkedIn. So let's get into it. So, first of all, why do we even have a problem with starting conversations? Well, obviously, a lot of the time, the main problem we have is that we're coming across as salesy. We're coming across as salesy, and we just hate the fact that we can't approach these people in a way that is going to just not be salesy, right? Because the thing is especially with lead generation, we all want them to make the first move, right? It's so uncomfortable for us to make the first move, us to chat to them. And that's especially the case when actually we are pretty much trying to get money out of them. We're pretty much trying to get money from the conversation, which makes it even harder. So let's actually understand something real quick. So before I even worry about being able to start the conversation, what am I going to say? First of all, I like to think, okay, well, what actually is it going to be like in their perspective, right? What are they currently thinking when they see the message that I send across to them? Because you really want to take it from their perspective first. Because I know for myself that when I receive a message that, for example, with a massive block of text, maybe it's one big message with like two to three paragraphs, but it's all as one message. I know for a fact that this was probably just copy and pasted and it's not very personalized. It was probably sent to everyone in the world or everyone in my niche. And so, with that being a first message, I'm not very impressed, and I've seen that plenty and plenty of times before. So, what do we want to do instead? Well, what we want to do is we want to make sure we can do a few things. We want to make sure that we can share exactly where we found them. We want to share what we like about what they're currently doing. And we want to then ask a broad question in relation to our niche. So this is why I think this is important, right? So first of all, if we start with the where, right? Now, just going back to that example, right? With that person that has sent me a massive message, and this happened to me multiple times, right? I've had plenty of people that have sent me these type of DMs. The one issue is I have no idea where this came from. I have no idea how they found me, which means that if I don't know where they found me, but they've sent me a message, I usually assume that they've used some sort of tool or whatever it might be to mass outreach. And yeah, there are people that do that. So this already, the problem is that this is, I mean, if we were to put it on a graph here, is going to skyrocket the skepticism. So it's not exactly helping your situation. So when we actually say where we found them, such as, hey, I saw you viewed my profile, or hey, I saw you engaged my piece of content, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I do remember doing that. Right. Now, in that case, obviously, more specifically, that will be with intent-based leads. And intent-based leads are simply the people that have made the first move. So this will be people that have engaged with your engaged with your content, viewed your profile, or sent you a connection request. Because these people have seen you, have come across you, maybe can like consume your content, which means they are at least 1% warmer for you to then reach out to. So if you're going to start any conversations with anyone, I recommend you start here. So now that we've covered the sort of the where of the conversation, now I want to go on to what we like about them. Now, why does this matter? Why do we care? We don't really care. What we actually care about is trying to make sure that this is personalized. Because this being personalized is very key because going back to that long message that I've had plenty of times before, it's never personalized, or if it is, it's personalized to the point of first names and maybe my business, which is clearly just someone inputting certain tags or whatever it might be to come up with that response. So that's obviously not helping. Now, when I think about personalization, for me, if I was on the receiving end, what I like to have is that I like to see that someone's put in a bit of effort and more specifically, I suppose, some human effort to the actual conversation. So I know one of the times when I was doing this, I came across someone who had posted about tennis. This is my tennis racket, by the way. It's awful. But I saw someone that posted about tennis, and I basically in the DMs sort of said, "Hey, I think it was something along the lines of, hey, like, came across you in my feed and whatever. I was never that good at tennis myself, but was always much better at Wii tennis, right? Wii Sports tennis." And it's just a bit of a weird thing, but it's a bit more human, and you can't AI generate that because it is just simply a human response that is jokey, which I would argue when you do make this personalized thing, you just try and, if you can, be a bit playful. Now, obviously, like, obviously, if this aligned with your personality, then great. I mean, for me, it does, right? I do like being playful, like just chatting in the DMs. If it doesn't, then just do what suits you. But too many people get really like professional and stuff, and people don't want to be professional all the time. They want to actually chat and maybe have a laugh with other people. So keeping it as playful as you can is really important. So once we've now shared like sort of exactly sort of where we found them, so we've done that, we shared something we like about what they're doing. Now it comes to the question. And with this, you can do whatever question you want. The goal of this is to get a response. Now, for this to get a response, we obviously want a broad question. Why do we want a broad question? Because a broad question is so much easier to respond to. So, for example, if I want to ask someone a broad question about LinkedIn, instead of taking the route of how many leads are you getting or whatever, I could say, how's life on LinkedIn? Or what inspired you to start posting? Because that is so much easier for them to respond to than something really specific. And not to say you can't ask specific things, but if they respond to that, then that's when you can say and then actually ask more specific questions and so on and so forth. And it will just keep going down until you obviously better understand them fully. So that's obviously really important for you to then consider. However, when it comes to asking questions, what I usually like to do is try and center it around my niche. Because what this is going to do is it's going to help direct the conversation and keep it on, I suppose, business from the get go, because what it means is I'm not going to have to worry about trying to pivot the conversation from something nice and friendly over here, like, hey, how are you, all the way to business. It's quite difficult to do that. I've done it before. It's been quite difficult. So what I usually recommend is starting just say with asking a question about the niche, and then from there it's very easy for you to then start asking more questions about, say, what their goals are in relation to this. So, what are your goals with LinkedIn or lead generation, and so on and so forth. But really, this is the main sort of aspect of the video, because I think if you can share where you're finding them, that can reduce the skepticism. If you can share what you like about what they're currently doing, that can keep that personalization. And if you can also then sort of ask that broad question in relation to your niche, if possible, then that's also going to make it easier for you to then guide that conversation and start it off strong. And I'm gonna be honest, you need to practice this. You need to put this in action, and this is going to take a lot more effort, and you're probably gonna find that you're gonna mess up a few times, but you will get some good conversations, and that only comes with volume. So, hope you've enjoyed this video, and make sure you test this out. I usually recommend if you can start at least 5 conversations every single day with this method, I'm sure you'll be able to get some back and forth conversation going really soon.